The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Welcome to Easton 300, a monthly TV show that talks about and highlights all the events that will take place during the year 2025. Yes, it is going to be the 300th anniversary of the Town of Easton, Massachusetts. During the year 2025, I'm Dave Clifton. I'm here along with co-host Brian Hoffman. We've had a ball doing this show once a month.
We have.
And it dates back to early 2023. We got much more to talk about today than we did back in January after being appointed to the Tricentennial Committee. And we want to thank personally all the donors, all the volunteers that were willing to share their time, their talent, their ideas, their resources to make this a giant celebration. And folks, that's what it's going to be. Today we're going to talk about CERT, not the candy that's out there, but we're going to talk about an organization called Community Emergency Response Team. And they certainly are an important part of the Easton community. We have two special guests that are joining us. We have their CERT director, and she, of course, is Michelle Ferriara. And joining her today is John Hebb. John is a retired police officer and taking an active part. Everybody's got to stay busy when they're retired, but he has a lot to offer. And we're happy that you're here today.
Thank you. And, happy to be here.
We thank you very much, and I say this on behalf of the Tricentennial Committee, that you're going to join us and have your team participate at all the events. And it's not just to pass out water at the parade. It's the fact that you're there to help with first aid. Michelle, you're the director. I'm going to have you go first. And of course, you were there at the first event. That was the kickoff event at Stonehill College. And we had about 2,500 people show up. And you had about 10 or 15 people from what I saw.
Yep, we did.
They were there to help in case of first aid being needed, or as an EMT. Those are the kinds of things that you folks do. But tell us, we're interested, both Brian and I, what is your mission? What is your purpose?
Oh, great. Happy to tell you about that, and thank you both for having us here. We're extremely excited about the Tricentennial events. We're really looking forward to them. We've been planning. To give everyone at home a little bit of feedback, CERT stands for Community Emergency Response Team, as Dave explained. Basically what that is a group of trained volunteers who are prepared to assist their community in the event of a disaster. And we do that by offering our emergency response skills that we've learned and trained on through various features. So we do a light search and rescue, we do fire safety, we do basic medical care, as well as crowd control and rehab. So specifically for the Tricentennial events, we will provide our expertise in a different area. So not so much a disaster, which we're very thankful for, but we will help support in the areas of crowd control, parking, communications, directions for all of the attendees. You know, as Dave mentioned, our first event had over 2,500 people, which was extremely impressive. It was a great day. Happy to say that went off without a hitch. We'll have a booth that will pass out emergency preparedness materials, talk to the residents about what we do and how they can help. John, of course, will be with us. He is our telecommunications manager as well as in charge of our safety department. within our organization. We will be at all of the events, helping in any way that we can, and are really excited and looking forward to it.
It's amazing.
It really is, and I think that the folks at home, as well as one of the folks sitting right here in the studio, I'd like to know a little bit more about where CERT came from. I remember when it first started to take shape in the early, 20-teens area, but give us a little bit of the history and how it's grown and how large it is now. And both of you can hop in on that.
Sure. So, I can give a little bit of feedback on that. John was with the original CERT team of Easton, but this is a nationally recognized program. We operate under the direction of the emergency management director in town, who is the fire chief, Justin Alexander. But we're supported by FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. So they kind of control all of the CERT teams across the country, but each team designates how they operate based on the needs of their community. As I mentioned, John was one of the original members, so I'm going to let you take it from where we started to where we are.
Sure.
CERT started in California when they had a series of earthquakes and their first responders were overwhelmed. They started these community-based response teams to assist when no one else was available to assist. It spread to the rest of the country because it's a great idea. Training volunteers to help out when our paid professionals are overwhelmed. And one of the things that we do here is we run emergency shelters in winter in case of snowstorms or ice storms, or in the summer in the event of a power outage and people need a cooling station. That's one of the things we do.
Extreme heat gets a big
Yes,
issue. Yeah.
yes, particularly for older folks.
Thank you.
No one's old here. No
I'm
one's old
glad to
here.
know that it's there, John.
I've been involved with CERT since around 2009. I worked part-time for the sheriff's office here in Bristol County, and we taught it as part of the curriculum for the law enforcement people in the regional schools. Becoming a certified CERT member was part of the requirements for graduation. And we taught it at Southeastern Regional, Greater New Bedford Regional. And then when the town decided that we should have a CERT team, I was one of the original members of the CERT team.
Right, and I think that for David and for myself and for everyone involved in the tricentennial, the first word in CERT is what this entire year is about, and that's community. So hearing how something like that can come out of the community and be such a great resource for the community, I think that's the kind of thing that over and over again we see that, this is what makes Easton the community it is, that you've got people who raise their hand and say, yeah, put me in the game, coach.
And that's what our theme is, really bringing families and community together. And folks, it's a year-round celebration. We're so happy that CERT will be involved with us, because from the very beginning, in meeting with the police chief and the fire chief, who have been terrific department heads in terms of cooperation, as well as the DPW director, coming forth to work with us. Of course, we're all concerned about not just planning the events, but making sure that the events are all safe. And crowd control comes into the picture. What happens if somebody accidentally slips or falls? Who knows what possibly could happen? And I think CERT's going to come in handy. And the fact that you're making yourself available for 8 signature events, and we have about 6 or 7 partnership events that'll take place as well. And I know that there's going to be lots of people. We expect large crowds. We certainly open up the door for you folks wherever you want to set up. We'll make sure you have all the details of all the events. And for the community out there, we have brochures that are available that list all the events. And we have our own web page, and it's something that you folks might want to get a copy of. And I also wanted to thank, Brian, the folks that donated pole banners.
Yes, thank you.
We have over 200 and some odd pole banners scattered throughout the community, mostly along the parade route, some on 106. We also have used Depot Street. Thank you, DPW, and all the employees for putting those up. And those will come down next December, maybe January. So they'll be up for an entire year. And it's truly amazing to see how people responded to that.
Right.
We were able to make a profit on the pole banners. You can't miss them, folks. If you like that orange color with black, you'll be able to see that. I wear this black jacket this evening in honor of the celebration. But the fact is that people have come forward in a community like Easton. They're showing the community spirit. And I know that someone asked me a while back when we first started, what day is the celebration on? It's a year-round celebration, and you're going to have lots of things happening, from bonfires to fireworks to parades. The list is long. We expect huge crowds. That first event was a perfect example of what we can expect. And we got 2 events coming up in April.
We do, and I think it's important for people to know that first event was free to residents and their families, and the rest of them, with the exception of the gala in December, will be free to residents, their families, their friends. So, you know, if you live in Easton and you've got folks coming in during the summer for family visits, plan around these events. You know, bring your aunts, uncles, grandparents, cousins, and show them the town you live in and the great sense of community. I want to jump back to CERT for just a second, because I kind of triggered off of something Michelle said earlier, that CERT is continuing to grow. If somebody out there wants to get involved in CERT, what are they looking at in terms of time commitment, training? How long does it take before they can be a functioning, useful part of the team?
Great question. And it just so happens that we're having an open house information session next week that will be at Frothingham Hall next Wednesday, the 12th, from 6 to 8 p.m. roughly. We've had people come up to us at all the events that we do and express interest. They want to be part of our team. They want to know how they can help. A lot of retired people really enjoy it. People that aren't retired are just looking for something to do and give back to the community. So we have that open house next Wednesday night at Frothingham Hall, where you'll just come in, we'll do a presentation. John will talk about his area of expertise. I'll talk about mine, and some of our other members will be there as well. If you're unable to attend that meeting, I work at the fire department. I'm there every day. You could reach out to myself there. Kathleen is another person in our office. Anyone can give you information there. If you just call the business office, happy to have you be part of our team. The classes are about 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. And there's a different topic each night. John is our trainer as well, so he does most of the training. We also have our one of our captains from the fire department will come in and do the basic life-saving skill training. Everyone gets certified in CPR and basic life-saving skills, which is great, as well as different classes that we offer through the training. There's really no requirement that you need to make besides wanting to help, really, and just taking the classes, getting certified. It's not difficult at all. Our team is great. We all get along. We have a lot of fun. There's always food involved. We feel that's a good motivator.
But if you feed them, they will come.
If you feed them, they will come. Yes,
Yes, they will.
You mentioned a number of the folks are retired citizens. Physically demanding, can most people do it?
Yeah, most people can do it, and you know, if they have, you know, a physical restriction, that's fine. I mean, we all have our restrictions.
Sure.
My back is not what it used to be, so we tend to let the guys do a lot of the heavy lifting.
But you can find things for
you can
people
find
to
things.
do.
I mean, a lot of the things that we
Excellent.
do, like the tricentennial events, are, you know, we're going to have somebody man our booth and just talk to the community about
Right.
emergency preparedness. You know, we pass out flyers. So really, you know, there's a job for everyone. You know, our group is diverse. So we have people that are older, younger, everywhere in between. We did a lot with the Boy Scouts last year. So we did a training for them. So we're trying to recruit younger population. You know, we do have some volunteers that come and they're able to help us at different events.
Terrific.
Without going through the training, you know, we just have them help, and that's okay. You know,
Sure.
as far as like, you know, events like this, you know, more skilled events, we kind of, you know,
I was
separate
trying
that.
to think of a way, Michelle and John, that I could give back to you folks. And I'm offering my services to you folks as a CPR instructor and first
that'd be great.
responder.
Excellent.
That would
If
be
I
great.
could help you folks out in some of your training, you just let me know.
Absolutely, we
That would be
appreciate it.
wonderful.
We'll squeeze it in. So
I
appreciate
have
it.
personal experience that you're a good instructor.
I remember having you teach at the police academy, and been a lot of satisfaction out of doing that over the years. But getting
It's
back to
important
the
to know.
celebration, first next two events on April 19th, we have the Family Fun Day at Langwater Farm. We're expecting a huge crowd. We're making arrangements to bus people in to the site. And of course, that's going to be an event that will be appealing to families in the
Yes.
community. There'll be hay wagon rides. There'll be free ice cream.
Oh, it's going to be a great day.
That
That's gonna be a
alone
great
would
day.
draw me to the event, the free ice cream.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, it's
Let me
going to
get my
take
stuff
place
out of the way
between
there,
the
David.
hours of 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then on April 26th, we have the Art and Cultural Festival, which will take place at the Oak Ames Memorial Hall. And that's going to be an event that will certainly draw all the artists in town and people who are interested in the arts. And that will be from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. So folks, there's going to be something for everybody this year. There'll be events for people of all ages. And we're counting on you folks to be at those events. And you let us know if you need a table or anything to do your thing, or you're going to have a tent.
We'll have a tent, we have tables, we bring everything that we need. So you just tell us where to go and we'll go. Yeah, we're excited. We already have our sign-up sheet for our team, and usually we don't go out that far for events, but we have everyone signed up.
So
for the
we'll
whole
just tell
year.
you where to go. My
Yep.
wife tells me where to go all
Yep.
the time.
She doesn't even have to have you sign up, does she?
And if she's listening, everything's okay.
Yes. Yep.
The
Just a
fact-
joke, just a joke, that's all.
So do you also teach people how to use the AED, the automated external defibrillator?
Yeah, that's part of our CPR class that we do. They're taught how to do that as well.
And we'd like to get your expertise in terms of location at all these events. Where do you think you should be located?
Yeah, and I think that's really important. We're going to be attending some of the meetings that you have coming up, and now that we're kind of getting down to the final stages of finalizing and planning everything. So once we're part of those meetings and we can see logistically where you have everything, you know, we'll certainly be in a central location that people can come to us and ask for information and, you know, direction. And, you know, certainly you mentioned busing people to Langwater Farm. That's one thing that we do every year at Borderland as well. They have their Paws in the Park race that they do, and they occasionally have to bus people. So we'll have people in that staging area guiding people to the bus, making sure they get on, off okay.
And speaking of Borderland State Park, the Friends of Borderland are going to be hosting the car show.
Oh, great.
And that's going to be on the morning of October 11th from 9 to 2 p.m.
Great.
And they're hoping that they'll have a huge crowd. They're aiming for 300 cars. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to have a parking spot for every car, but that's a huge crowd, and
That
we
is.
welcome you to join us on
Absolutely.
that particular day.
That'd be a fun day.
That would be a fun day.
It's going to be an active day because that evening from 6 to 9 p.m. will be the bonfire. And that will be taking place at the high school complex in the same location where the fireworks will go off on Flag Day. So that October 11th bonfire will include the Easton Lions Club. They're
will.
going to handle the barbecue.
Nice.
And we're going to have a concert there as well. We'll have some other activities. Bring your chairs, bring your blankets, bring your memories, and to sit, look at the fire, and think about all the good things that have happened within your family and the good things that will continue to happen. Tell us something about some of the events, other events that you folks have covered over the years.
So we do, I think, Brian, you mentioned it, or Dave, you might have, the Borderland races. So we do the Father's Day race every year. We do the annual fire department open house. We do the Pause in the Park at Borderland. Big year for us last year because it was voting time. So we handle all the voting venues and just make sure that everyone knows the right area to go to. And as I mentioned, the busing back and forth. We've done
Town meetings.
Oh yeah, we've done town meetings. One of the things that we also have started to do, which I think is great if you haven't heard of this, but we also are offering free classes to the community. So we had a Skywarn weather spotter class last year where we had some national meteorologists come in and kind of explain the weather system, which was surprisingly fascinating.
It was an incredible class.
And it was, it really was.
Yeah.
And it was one of our most attended classes that we've done. We do Stop the Bleed class, so we'll offer that to the community. Until Help Arrives is a big one. You know, we can only do so much until the first responders get there, but we train people on what to do if there is an emergency. Not even part of our team. You know, either one of you could, you're okay with that, but pretty sure you can hold your own. I don't know about you, Brian, but
Pretty sure I can.
okay. So we teach people what to do until help arrives.
I don't want to interrupt.
No,
but
go.
One thing with the until help arrives is that we call our police and fire first responders, but basically they're called to the scene, so they're not the first responders. They're the first professional help at the scene. But the people that are at the scene when something happens are your first responders. And it's important for people to know what to do if something happens.
Right.
So that is what the purpose of Until Help Arrives is. And it's a great class. It really is.
Really is.
How often does that run?
We've done it yearly, right?
Yeah, pretty much yearly. You know, we're trying to get on a regular schedule, kind of alternating the classes, but that one is primarily yearly.
And John is correct. Whether you're choking on something at a town beach, or maybe there's a heart attack situation or an accident, or someone goes unconscious, yes, we want them to call 911, but we also want them to hopefully be trained so that they could step up to do what they can. And whether it's giving compressions, which can be a big help in saving someone's life.
Yes.
And when the rescue team shows up, they'll take over. So I think it's something that I encourage families out there to take CPR. Someone said, well, Dad took CPR, but what about Ma? What happens if Dad goes down? Is Ma going to be trained to help him out?
Right.
So I think it's good to think about first aid, CPR, knowing how to help someone out that may be in trouble. What would you say to folks out there that may have some interest in joining CERT and getting the training? Who would they contact? I know you mentioned it earlier, to contact you at the fire department.
Yep, they can contact.
Is there a web page or?
We have a Facebook page, which is Easton CERT. Otherwise, you can contact me at the fire department. You can also get information through Frothingham Hall, the senior center. They're aware of our team, so if somebody wants to call them, they'll certainly direct them to myself. And I want to go back to the bonfire real quick, without ruining anything that you're doing. I think people don't fully understand the magnitude of the operations that this committee has put together. You know, our first responders will be there, our police and our fire will be there. This bonfire is going to be epic. And I think a lot of people may be concerned with all the fires that we've had lately, you know, over the country, but our fire department's going to be there, the police department is going to be there, will be there, and the Lions Club, you mentioned the Lions Club. And that is a great organization. I think a lot of people don't understand how much they actually do for the town of Easton. They're very generous, they're very supportive. Their barbecue is by far the best that you will ever have. So that particularly is going to be a great day.
It's going to be terrific.
It
And
really
I also
is.
wanted to mention that having talked to Fire Chief Justin Alexander, he's probably the only fire chief in the area that smiles when he talks about fires
Yep.
and fireworks. But I got to tell you, this is going to be a bonfire that's going to be controlled.
Yes.
This is a different kind of fire. It's a control fire with police and fire there, ready to tap water on it if it gets out of hand. So it's not something where a fire starts and you have to call the fire department to be there, and by the time they get there, it's a little higher than you expect, but it'll be controlled. And one of the things that I had suggested to the Tricentennial Committee from the early stages is that I have a volunteer that I'd like to pursue to be the coordinator of the bonfire and the fireworks, and it was the fire chief. In terms of thinking safety, I couldn't think of a better person. But he does it with a smile on his face.
He loves it.
does.
He
And,
really does. He
And
loves
his
it.
team does a super job.
They
So
do.
If any of our residents were at Langwater in February when they had the second annual bonfire of the Christmas trees, Kevin and Kate do a super job setting that whole event up. It literally looked like we had almost as many people as we had at the kickoff event, Sally Blair Ames, but a very safe, distance from the fire. You could see the fire personnel handling, they literally lit it at 4 different parts. But they did it with style, David. I don't know, I don't know if you were there or not, but the fire professional who started it, there were 4 different wood fires around the property. People were toasting marshmallows on and making s'mores.
So much fun.
And the fellow from the fire crew got what looked like a tiki torch, lit it in one of those fire pits, and then walked ceremoniously down the road through the crowd, and he looked like the Pied Piper, Dave. There had to be 50 kids trailing
Just
behind him until he got to the fence, and he said, "Okay, guys, this is for me. You're staying out here." He walked in and then torched each of the 4 corners with a good distance from the fire. So once those were lit, we probably had about 5, 6, 7 minutes of just watching those almost wicks,
Right.
kind of lead toward the pyramid. And it was one of the most amazing things ever. And you talk about safe, everybody felt safe, and it was a magical evening. So I think if anybody was there in the winter, the difference is going to be, you're going to be in your shorts and a polo shirt.
Yep.
You're going to have, some warm weather beverages, and you're going to have a great time. It's going to, I loved your word, it is going to be epic. So.
Right now, we're going to take a short break. You're watching Easton 300, a chance for us to highlight all the events that will take place this year, 2025. I'm Dave Clifton here along with Brian Hoffman, and we're having a lot of fun co-chairing this television broadcast. And our guests today, Michelle and John, will be right back after this important message.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of For the Love of Words.
After a 3-year hiatus, join me, John Holgerson, and
Priscilla Almquist Olson.
as we interview poets and musicians.
Could you give the audience a little summary of your background as a child?
When I turned 7 or so, we were car bombed. That stuck out.
And have them share their love of words.
Sometimes I wonder, do you ever think of me?
A thin broth of moonlight caught in the trees spreads across the garden brush, so one side of every stick shimmers while the other sides melt into one another, a mass grave of cherry, pear, and pine.
For the Love of Words at 7 p.m. on Thursdays.
Welcome to Service Matters, a weekly radio show that talks about the good things that are happening in local communities and beyond.
Since 1978, the Easton Food Pantry has been dedicated to providing food to our neighbors in times of need. As long as there's hungry people in our community, our doors are open, our hearts will be open to help.
We also like to talk about the good things that people do to make a difference, and in many cases, to make dreams real for folks out there in need.
Just to chat about, as you say, some of the good things in life. There's some of the good things, the great things, and the happy things.
And certainly watch us on ECAT, Easton Community Access Television. Welcome back to another segment of Easton 300. Yes, this is going to be a giant celebration here in Easton, Massachusetts. Can you imagine, folks, 1725 to 2025, and we're celebrating it. I'm going to try my best to be around for the 350th, but I can't guarantee it, folks. It's a long ways off. But I wanted to mention briefly some of the facilities that we'll be using for the celebration. Certainly, we'll be using Borderland State Park for a car show. We plan on using Oliver Ames High School complex for 3 events. One is going to be the bonfire. We're going to use it for the fireworks, the community picnic. We're also going to use it for the barbecue hosted by the Lions Club. And we're going to have a giant flag ceremony on Flag Day. Not only do we have a chance on Flag Day to celebrate the red, white, and blue, the American flag, but we also have a chance to celebrate and recognize all the veterans here in the town of Easton. There'll be a flyover. There's going to be a young student singing the national anthem. We got the Lions Club going to hold a flag. We got the veterans and their families holding a flag. We got the scouts holding a flag. These are giant flags that require 35 to 40 people to hold. So that alone is a crowd.
Yeah.
And when you finish that, you'll be hungry for the community picnic.
That's right.
There'll be a concert from 7 to 9:15. And of course, the fireworks start at 9. We hope to have music. And we're excited about that. We'll also be using the Governor Oliver Ames estate. And that'll be on September 6th. That'll be our giant block party. We're going to use Oak Ames Memorial Hall for the as I mentioned earlier, the Art and Cultural Festival. Langwater Farms will be the site, and that will be on, I should say, it's a little confusing with all the dates up here, but April 19th will be the Family Fun Day. We're going to use the Queeset House. We're using the Easton VFW for meetings. We use the ECAT studio quite often to promote the celebration.
We do.
With a TV show. Southeast Regional Vocational, we used it for meetings. They also have been very cooperative. The school department, the Ames Free Library. The list goes on and on. Let me not forget Stonehill College. Everybody has cooperated. Everybody is participating. Everybody is from the town of Easton, and I think it's so important to understand we're all part of the community. It's time for us to celebrate. I'm not the first to say, in some cases, the world's gotten a little crazy. It's time for us to put a smile on our face, be positive, and to come together as a community, as a family, and as a neighborhood. Yep. And I wanted to ask you, merchandise is something that we're selling at all the events. And I wanted to ask you what the Red Ball Promotions was all about, and then we'll go back to our guest.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. Red Ball Promotions, the firm that I work for, was very fortunate to have been selected by the committee to help design and provide all of the commemorative merchandise for the entire year. So if it's everything from quarter zip fleeces to hoodies to knit beanie caps, baseball caps,
Glasses.
T-shirts. Oh yeah, that especially for Dale. These beautifully laser etched highball glasses that Dale Carister loves to put his bourbon in without ice. Thank you, Dale.
It's the only way to drink it.
Yeah. Well, I do that with Irish whiskey, so
I do it with
the
Scotch.
the same kind
I
of
didn't
thing.
realize that Dale drank bourbon. I know he eats a lot of cookies.
Yes, he does.
the
Yes, he
meetings,
does.
yeah.
We have to watch those, make sure they make them around the table. But it's interesting. Red Ball has been around for 20 plus years, and the getting ready for the 300th coincided with some work we were doing with the Bristol County and Plymouth County drug prevention programs. All of them nonprofits, and they had asked us, could we help with stuff? And as they're nonprofits, one of the first questions was, well, can you give us a little break on the price? And we've always said that to nonprofits. And it gave us pause enough that this past March, we initiated a separate channel for Red Ball promotions that's called Red Ball Cares. And Red Ball Cares does the same work, same quality, same products that we do for our corporate customers, but at significantly lower prices for nonprofits, because our, the way we look at it is we want them to have more money for their mission, so we'll give them better magnets at a better cost, And, so all of the apparel, and thanks to Anne Marie and Amanda and Karen for the great work they've done in helping select it and design it and stuff. All of that is coming at significantly lower prices than the town might otherwise expect. And yet they're still able to make a few dollars here to put back into the kitty to support programs and events that aren't going to generate revenue. So it's something that's feeding this entire celebration, and we are absolutely proud to be part of it. So
Thank you for that. Yeah.
We wanted to go back to our guest.
Yes.
To talk a little bit about your background. We'll start with you, Michelle. For you to get involved in, I know you work for the fire department, you work for the fire chief.
I do. So I kind of had a significant career shift about 5 years ago. After my father passed, I was in the corporate world, sales and marketing. I did a lot of promotional events and shows and things like that. My father got sick, so I decided to take care of him, and then I just developed this passion for taking care of people and helping out. Took a pause from the corporate life, and I've lived in Easton for about 30 years now. It is a great town, as I'm sure you all know. What you're doing this year is just incredible, and such a blessing for everyone in town. So I just started working in the fire department. A position opened up, started working there. It took over as the CERT director, and in my time in doing that, I felt like there was a need for more professional medical people on the team. We're all trained in basic life-saving skills. I just wanted to have a little bit more knowledge. I felt like it would help our team and the community. So I started taking classes to become an EMT.
Good for you.
So I've done that. I do work for another private ambulance company on the weekends. So that is great for me as well. I enjoy doing that, but I particularly love being involved with this town. There's just so much that we can do, and I mean, you mentioned all the great facilities that you have for this event. I mean, the Queeset House, Borderland. I mean, the history is just, we are very lucky to be part of this town and have this rich history and places for us to explore, even, with Borderland, just to be able to walk through that state park. I mean, not many of our surrounding towns can say that. And it's given us a great landscape to do these events, and we're really excited for that.
You take
Myself
the words out of my
particularly.
mouth. As a matter of fact, I say that quite often. How lucky we are to have what we have, to live in a community like Easton, Massachusetts, where just about everything we need is within reach.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's not the same way for folks in third world countries. And even in our own country, where survival is their top priority. And John Hebb, I knew you as a police officer. You're retired.
Correct.
What made you get into police work?
It's a job where the people who are in the field make more important life-saving decisions than the people in the offices. And you make decisions that affect people's lives for the rest of their lives. And you have to be aware of the fact of the impact and the power that you have and the authority that you have, and you have to use it properly. It's a fascinating job, and it's a job where you can go to work and no 2 days are the same, and your day can change instantly with the next phone call or the next person who walks into the station. You deal with a huge variety of things, and it's just a fascinating job. It really is. It's
Well said.
become much more complex now than it ever has been. Police officers nowadays have to be psychologists, they have to be doctors, they have to be nurses, they have to be law enforcement, they have to be social workers. And it's an incredibly difficult job nowadays. I am actually very happy that I'm retired. And it's not getting any easier for the people involved in law enforcement. And the culture.
I know I'm retired, but I'm busier than ever. I was thinking of going back to work to get a break. But the fact is that I wanted to say that the reason why we asked Michelle and John to join us today is that we're concerned about crowds coming together, major celebrations, because we hear and read about what goes on around the world. And we want you to know, folks, residents of the town of Easton, that things are under control, and we're prepared for large crowds. And it's not just a one-day celebration. There's lots of events taking place, and we want families to come together and to enjoy. And the police chief has a security plan that his staff has helped put together, and that security plan is what we're going to go by. We're not just going to have a giant celebration with all kinds of events without working together with police and fire, DPW, and we're also involving CERT to make sure that things are under control and that it's going to be a safe celebration.
And I think you'll agree with me, David, that what we've seen since the very, very beginning is that police chief, fire chief, head of the DPW, all of the department heads in town have not just been okay with it. They are invested in this entire year, and they've done some amazing things to help kind of make sure that these are safe events, make sure that these are carefully run events, and that, you know, community safety comes first. And I'm just glad that we have those kinds of department heads, you know, to help us with that stuff. Because
And I know
you're
that
right, it's not every place.
at an earlier select board meeting when we were in the planning stages and I was getting to meet all the department heads and talk about the celebration, I say to the select board, what a terrific job you have done and coming up with department heads that have done things above and beyond the call of duty. And that's why we're where we're at. When I think about the first meeting and our committee sitting together and questions like 10 of us appointed by the select board, where do we start?
Right.
What events do we have? How do we raise the money? We have raised $400,000 to run this celebration.
Very good.
And
That's incredible.
Yeah.
some towns are asking questions, how do we raise the money? They're thinking about the same questions that we had.
Yep.
And when I see where we are today, we started with 10 people, and then we got coordinators for the events, and then we got all kinds of, the committee's tripled.
Yeah.
And we got a lot more volunteers. We're asking to come forward. We're asking people to give some consideration to giving back to the community by being a volunteer. And I think we got 2 people here today that are looking for people that want to get involved.
Yeah.
They're in the helping people business as well. But I think the fact that we have some major sponsors that we want to thank.
Well, when you talk about raising $400,000, it's not something that happens just like falling off the turnip truck. You know, credit to the folks on the committee, and particularly to Courtney Pupkin, who is in charge of the fundraising. But credit to the businesses in town, the large ones, the small ones, the individual folks. The thing that I've noticed, checking out the banners we were talking about on the telephone poles, is how many families said, I want to be up there too. Yeah. So it's not just businesses, it's this family and that family. And it is major sponsors who are sponsoring specific events. And it's everybody else in town who said, hey, you know, I'm going to send in a check for $25 because this is my town and I want to support it. So
we also want to thank Ken Michael. He did a lot of help and support on the banners, and also finding some sponsors, as well as Courtney Pupkin. And it takes people that don't mind asking.
Yeah.
And I found out through my asking that people were happy on the other end to donate.
Yeah.
This is their community. They wanted to be able to bring their families together in celebration.
It's
we've
rewarding.
been through the virus. We've been through all kinds of things, and it's time for us to celebrate.
Come together for something fun, and you know, you mentioned all the departments. Like usually, everyone gathers for something bad, or you know, it's not really getting the whole town together to celebrate.
That's a good point.
As you know,
That's a
united.
good point.
You're all united. You mentioned, you know, it's troubling times for people, you know, financially, mentally, and these events, I think, is just going to help our whole town just kind of get that extra bit of peace and enjoyment, and you know, you mentioned the memories. That's what it's all about.
And we get a lot of diversity in the town, and there is unity and diversity, bringing the families together. Brian and I want to thank some of the sponsors who have been so generous. The Bank of Easton, the North Easton Savings Bank, SCU Credit Union. We certainly want to thank the Haynes Group for donating. We thank the gentleman who's going to sponsor the fireworks, Alex Pyres. Grew up here in the town of Easton. He's not around town now, but he wanted to give back to the community.
He stays involved.
Dave Howe, Douglas King, the Lee Williams Foundation. Lee's the guy that helped put that clock up in town that you see as our logo. And while I'm thanking people, I also want to thank the person who put the logo together. She
It's a great
has
logo.
been outstanding.
She has. Piper journalist. She's terrific.
Unbelievable.
And I think, too, we tip our hat and say thank you to Father John Denning, the president of Stonehill, who's made his facilities available to us.
We thank the Rhodes family.
Yep, the Rhodes families
people that
chipped in.
Came through, and we're going to be changing our billboard next month. And on the billboard will be some of our major sponsors, as well as all the events. The billboard is located at the tip of Belmont Street, heading towards Brockton. And it's visible.
Pretty visible.
See it.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to put the sponsors and the events on it in the second one. And then there'll be a third one. And the third one is an opportunity for us to say thank you to all the residents, to coming together to enjoy the town of Easton, Massachusetts. And I know you have been excited from the very beginning.
I have.
I know that we originally talked to you. You were bitter on some of the sales, selling.
No, I
But he was more than just a salesman, folks. He became a friend. He became a volunteer. And with his background in radio work, he was the perfect guy to join me here on this TV show as we promote.
Well, thank you. Feeling is mutual. It's been
And
a
I
lot of
think
fun.
the both of us with our radio background has been very helpful recruiting and getting people like yourselves to join us.
Very happy to do it. We really are.
And we got a compliment after the last interview we did that we made them feel comfortable, the guests.
Oh, yeah.
They worried about going on the air. They worried about what am I going to say. All we have to do is look at each other and have a conversation that we normally would have. But I know that I don't think we missed any events.
I don't think we did either. I think we're probably pretty close.
The parade is one thing that I did want to mention, and I know CERT's going to be involved.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Right now, our plan is
Very
to have you
excited
at
for
3
that.
different locations. You're going to be in the center of the parade, which would be in front of DPW. That's going to be the same place where we're going to locate all of the portable toilets.
Okay.
We'll try not to put
We'll pop our tent up right next to the toilets.
So that's what we mean to you, huh? Put them near the toilets.
we're going to put the toilets in an opposite location.
In the middle of July.
I could see you folks on the opposite side of the review stand.
that would
and
be
the
good,
toilets behind us.
But you know, I think that the parade has to present its own set of challenges because unlike the bonfire, which is in one place, you know, or the
moving.
picnic, which is in one place, now you have an event that is almost 2 miles long and moving. So I got to take my hat off to the folks on the CERT team as well as, you know, the police and the fire departments and DPW that not only are we going to do this, everybody's excited about it. Nobody's saying, oh, this is going to be a big problem. We're saying we can handle it.
And I would like to thank Corey Hoffman, who's the coordinator of the parade, and his 15 volunteers have been meeting twice a month to plan this parade. I expect, folks, this will be the largest parade the town's ever had. There was a large one for the 275th anniversary celebration. They started at the high school and they're going to end at, they ended at the mall down by Hilliard's. Our parade's going to start at the monument at the start of Center Street. It's going to go the length of the street. A quarter of the route is going to be filled with parade lineup. The parade lines up at 9 a.m. It begins at 10. It probably will end about 12. It'll be about a 2-hour parade. We're going to have maybe 25 towns with fire apparatus. They're going to be the first group in the parade. They'll be lining up near Short Street. We're going to have 3 divisions lined up on Center Street and 2 divisions across from the lights where the monument is. We're going to have the Shriners joining us in the parade.
That's going to be amazing.
Very popular group. That's a division in itself. We have the Sheriff's Office coming with all their vehicles. We're going to have the colors. We're going to have a giant flag. We're going to have horses. We're going to have motorcycles. We're going to have bikes. We're going to have cheerleaders. We're going to have 6 or 7 floats. We're going to have 6 or 7 bands and drum corps. We're going to have the Army National Guard coming. There's going to be military vehicles. There's going to be a local flavor. We're inviting the governor to join us.
Oh my gosh.
We're probably going to put her in a convertible. If she decides to walk, maybe she don't have to walk the whole route. But
She's in
we're
pretty
hoping
good shape. She could probably do it.
we're going to have all the dignitaries, and the governor, of course, is very much into community service, and that's why we're going to have her be invited by our Easton Select Board members. All the town officials, the state officials will be joining us. We're looking for the schools to be involved. It's amazing what we've come up with.
Well, I think it's amazing that you have all these other towns. Like you mentioned, the other, fire departments joining. You have all the state people. I mean, this is, it speaks to Easton. It speaks to the people of Easton because, a lot of people would think, oh, I don't really want to give up a Sunday or a Saturday morning to do a parade for the town of Easton. But you both have organized all of these agencies that are willing and excited to come be part of this. I mean, that's tip your hat off to the town.
Well,
you know?
Yeah.
we're coordinating the show, but we're as
Yeah.
good as the people we surround ourselves
right.
with.
And
There's
Corey's
lots
done
of
a great job.
volunteers.
Yeah,
You
that's
know, I
incredible.
think of the fire chief. His job is to get the word out to all the other towns.
Yep.
He has sent Easton vehicles to other parades.
Right.
Now it's time for them to come to our parade and to enjoy our celebration and to be part of it. The kids love the sirens and the lights.
I
yeah.
love the fire trucks.
And there are some seniors that I see in parade routes doing this.
Yeah.
But that's going to happen. They go by pretty quickly. And then we're going to have 5 divisions. That's how the parade's multiplied. As Corey Honan has said, I've run parades in town before, but they've been much smaller.
Right.
And we're thinking big. This is a big celebration. We want it to be a big parade. We certainly thank the Haynes Group for sponsoring the parade. And a couple of units that we thought were pretty expensive, but we had a couple of sponsors jump in to help us. Vertec is willing to bring the Shriners to town,
Oh, great.
and we
That's great.
appreciate that.
Very
And,
entertaining. Very entertaining.
Yes.
We're not sure yet on the Boston Gaelics,
Oh, that would be
Oh,
great.
that'd be incredible.
but we got the best of the best.
Yeah.
We even had a group contact us, Brian from Philadelphia,
Oh, the Mummers,
the
yeah.
Mummers.
Unfortunately, that was
Want
a
to
big
come to
ticket
Easton,
item.
Massachusetts?
That was a much bigger ticket item.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And they usually do parades in Boston, but they heard about Easton. We made sure that they heard about Easton. And folks, this is an opportunity to not only bring your families that live here in the town, but you may have family members that may want to come over and join you. We're encouraging people, and we have some streets that are going to have their own picnics.
Oh, I bet.
They're going to have their own block
Sure.
parties. We have a major block party that'll be at the Governor Eames Estate,
And that's going to be something.
and that's going to be giant. There's going to be lots of things going on for people of all ages. And I wanted to thank Jamie and her husband who have been working at this on a day-to-day basis.
Jamie Anderson, yeah. They,
We're getting to the end of the show, and
We
Brian
are
and I
indeed.
certainly want to thank
Oh, thank you again
no,
for having
thanks for
us.
both
having
of
us.
you
Oh, it's
very
been our
much
pleasure. Yeah.
Yes.
for joining us and for
Happy to
coming
be
up
here.
with the time
Yeah.
and your talent in public safety to make sure that somebody's watching over everybody
We're
on
honored
the
to
day
do
of the
it.
parade. And
Yes.
we'll make sure that
We're
we
honored.
thank you on a number of occasions. So
We don't need the thanks. We're honored. It's very rewarding. We love
It
it.
is. It
any
is.
final comment you'd like to make?
No, just before we go, I think that it's always important. The folks out there are thinking, boy, you've got everything under control. Yes, but we always would love more volunteers to get involved. If there's a particular event that you feel great about, if there's a group of people that you want to be associated with, get in touch with us. Go on the website, easton300.org. Get in touch with anybody that's on the committee. If you want to volunteer, there's always room for you.
Final comments. There'll be a flyover for the parade. We're going to have an anniversary book. We have a cookbook that's going like wildfire, written by local people.
And guess how many recipes, David? 300.
300 recipes.
Perfect.
If you
a
counted
beautiful
them, there's
job
a
on
little
that.
bit more than 300. But the fact is, it's the community spirit that's working.
That's right.
That's going to just about wrap it up for today's show. We say to each and every one of you, if you're going to do something good, do it with the dignity that it deserves. When I say something good, it could be just volunteering to help with the town celebration, or it could be volunteering to help people out that are involved with CERT. Go forth to serve, do it with a smile on your face, and certainly do what you can to help others out. Stick around, save the dates. 2025 has arrived.
We'll see
Thank
you
you.
next time.